Then on Sports Central, we go for a college football game preview and prediction on the 2023 Armed Forces Bowl matchup between the James Madison Dukes and the Air Force Falcons. Two teams that have had great seasons getting to this point. James Madison, 11-1 on the season, first season in the FBS. What a season it's been for the Dukes, and they find themselves in a bowl game as well because, of course, not enough 6-win teams, and they're taking on Air Force in the Armed Forces Bowl. The Falcons 8-4 on the season. This team started the season 8-0. Really strong start for Air Force, but they haven't won a game since October. So for Air Force, looking to finish off the season on a high note, taking on James Madison in the Armed Forces Bowl. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with your team trends. James Madison beat Coastal Carolina 56-14. What a win there for James Madison. This team did lose in the second to last week of the regular season to App State. Game went into overtime. Obviously, this team had a lot of hype going into that matchup, considering they were 10-0, and I mean, you consider it is a pretty big deal. James Madison, first season in the FBS, and obviously being ineligible for bowl season, and it's honestly a great thing to have James Madison in bowl season. This is a team that is more than deserving of it, given how they've played for this entire season and the dominance they have had. But for Air Force, this team lost to Boise State 19-27. It's been a tough road for Air Force down the stretch. This is a team that has lost each of their last 4 games. Games will be on Saturday the 23rd in Fort Worth, and the kickoff is 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going James Madison by 2.5 here, which it honestly kind of surprised me seeing the spread as close as it is. I feel like James Madison maybe should be a bit of a heavier favorite in this matchup, given how they've played, especially later on in the season versus Air Force. But over-under is 41.5, and the FPI is going James Madison 64%. Obviously, first ever bowl game for James Madison. Air Force is 15-13 overall. Pretty successful history for Air Force. They've been in bowl games 3 of the last 4 years. Your stat comparison. James Madison overall, this is a balanced team that is overall really impressive. They're 15th in points per game, 19th in points allowed. A strong passing game here with James Madison. Obviously, Jordan McLeod, which it sounds like he's transferring, but he is going to be playing in this bowl game, which is obviously great news for James Madison. He's been really impressive this season. 3,400 yards, 32 touchdowns, over 9 picks. So a really talented player who, it's too bad that he's going to be leaving, but for James Madison, obviously it's going to be great to have him around for this game, given how significant of a player that he is. But you look at the defense, this team is not good against the pass. They're 127th in pass defense this season, but this is the top-ranked rush defense in the country, and that's why this is an interesting matchup, because you look at Air Force, this team is the worst team in the FBS in pass yards a game, dead last, 133rd, but they are second in rush yards a game. That's a typical thing for Air Force. This team is strong in rushing the ball, but not so much in passing, and I feel like that's why later on in this season, I feel like teams kind of realize that, and I mean, it just hasn't been the same, and obviously with not having Zach Larrier in there, that does make a difference for the quarterback situation. But either way, this is just not a strong passing game, and they constantly run the ball. So really for James Madison being the top-ranked rush defense in the country, they can hold Air Force to next to nothing points-wise if they can just stop the run and find a way to obviously take care of the passing game as well. But your recent matches, James Madison beat Coastal Carolina 56-14. By the way, Coastal Carolina, pretty good team. That was a very impressive win there, coming off of obviously a brutal loss to App State the week before. Now, obviously having game day in town, I mean, that game had so much going into it. So it definitely was disappointing for this team to lose to App State, but App State is still a talented team. They just won their bowl game as well. But before that, beat UConn 44-6, beat up Georgia State 42-14, and also beat Old Dominion by 3. As for Air Force, they lost 4 straight. Lost to Boise State, lost to UNLV, lost to Hawaii by 2 touchdowns, and obviously they lost to Army by 20. So, yeah, this team, it's been rough the past few games, but the way this team played in the first half of the season and really through October, this team was really impressive. That's why it's so surprising just to see the way this team kind of fell off in the last few games. But either way, I know this is a team with a 4-game losing streak, but that doesn't mean this team should be underestimated. I mean, this is still a talented team despite not playing at a very high level later on in the season. Your key points, James Madison 11-1. Incredible first season for the Dukes. I mean, for this team to get up to 11 wins, and honestly, you could have made an argument if they were eligible for bowl season and for the New Year's Six, James Madison would probably be playing Oregon in the New Year's Six right now. And so it's kind of unfortunately don't get that. I feel like James Madison is a much better team than Liberty. I know Liberty's 13-0, but James Madison has been more impressive this season. They've been more dominant. I know they lost in overtime to App State once, but otherwise, James Madison, I would say, has been the best team in the group of 5 this season. Jordan McLeod's transferring. Looks like he's going to play, though, once again, which is huge for this James Madison team. Otherwise, I might take Air Force, but overall, I'll say this as well. James Madison does match up well against the Falcons. Air Force is a pretty one-dimensional offense. They run the ball, but they really don't pass it much, and they just don't have much success there. So they find ways to win rushing the ball, but problem is they're going up against the top team in the country in rush defense, which it's not going to be easy for Air Force with that, all things considered. And I mean, so for Air Force, the defense is going to have to play really well. If Air Force is going to want to win this matchup, I mean, they're going to have to keep James Madison probably under 20 points, I would say. Honestly, you can make an argument under 15 just based on for Air Force. It's going to be tough for them to score points in this matchup. I really do think that. But, I mean, when the defense plays well for Air Force, this team is tough to beat. We've seen that throughout the season, and obviously it hasn't been quite as good later on in the season, so that's a big reason why this team has struggled a bit. But with that, let's get the prediction for James Madison and Air Force coming up here in the Armed Forces Bowl. Definitely an intriguing matchup for both sides. James Madison, first season, first ever bowl game in the FBS. Can they win it? I do think so. 27-17 is my predicted final score. I am taking this game to be a bit higher scoring than you might expect. I think Air Force finds a way to get up to 17, but in the end, James Madison's offense finds a way, and they beat Air Force by 10. Once again, I feel like James Madison, the way they just play into the hand better for this matchup, given Air Force is a one-dimensional offense that runs the ball. And I mean, James Madison is the top rush defense in the country, and that's not the only reason as well. It's the fact James Madison is, I mean, this is everything they wanted this season, was to get to a bowl game and have this opportunity. So I think James Madison finds a way, and obviously Air Force really struggling later on in the season. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to lose this game, but they just don't have much momentum heading into this matchup. So I'm taking JMU 55 to 60%, somewhere in there. I'm also going to take the over and James Madison to cover the spread in the end. But with that, let me know your thoughts and comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that. My name's Evan. This is All Sports Central. Stay tuned for more. We'll catch you on the next one.